Hello, Toronto. We're going to get started. Yeah? Okay. All right. Hello, Zoom, apparently. Oh, you know what? You need is just a second. Sorry, I'm a bit. I just have to hook up the speaker. I'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Can someone say hello?
Hello.
Hi, Emerson.
Hello.
Emerson. Hi, Emerson.
Try again,
Hello.
Steve.
Hi.
Thank you. Can you hear? Can you hear? We are.
How about now?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Let's go for the juggler. Yeah. This is complete bankruptcy. This is the annihilation. This is the corruption. This is not what you think it is. Because what you think is the obscuring, it's the mask, it's the veil. So this is mindless. This is thoughtless. This is nothing at all. It's not even nothing. It's this immediacy, this boundless energy that appears as whatever. So this is the identity theft. It's almost like it's almost like admitting that there's been a con going on. This identification of a self, identification of separateness, identification as you. There's no identities here, but there's this con, there's this identity theft that's apparently happening, and it consistently corrupts, obscures. And there's nothing wrong or right about that. It's just play. It's just a play of light. It's just a play of games, names, labels. But these labels are obscuring this, the unobstructed this. The obstruction is the whatever comes in mind, whatever comes in thoughts. So this is the bankruptcy of the soul. This is the, and there's this, I talked about the soul yesterday, and someone asked me, what are you going to take away this time? Nothing and everything. Even the idea of what this is is not what it is. Because any idea, any thoughts for that matter, is really corrupting this paradise, this heaven, this natural reality of something that does not need an interpretation. It doesn't need anything. It's simply, it is as it is. And there's this fantasy, this ongoing fantasy of what it should be, what the idea of this should be. But what is seen is what's being longed for. What is heard is what's being longed for. So what you're looking for is this. And there's nothing outside of this. There's no interpretation of this. There's already absence, a complete poverty here. This is not about the riches of the soul. This is not about the attainment of bliss, because that's fantasy. That's fantasy. When this character chased the bliss, it became like an addiction. Maybe if I do this, maybe if I do that. This is not a cause and effect. This is nothing at all. It's the ordinariness that's being missed. It's the glass on the table. It's the wall. It's the light. It's the air. It's the curtain. It's the feelings. It's the constipation. It's the foul stench of something. It's appearing as everything. But there's this centralized processing of what this is, this illusory processing that keeps on corrupting it, keeps on obscuring it. The moment that, even when I say glass, walls, it's already labeling something that doesn't have a label. The trees doesn't have any labels for other trees. The trees doesn't, there's no labels. So the labels or the interpretation, the interpretation of what is being presented here, or what seems to be understood, is also what is. So the bankruptcy, the collapse, the corruption is also what is. In deep sleep, in blackout, in this apparent happening, there's no one here. The moment that there's a thought of saying that, when will he get to that part that will awaken me? Then it denies it. The moment that there's this feeling of, how will I get there? When will I get there? Obscures what is already this radiance. This radiance that animates everything, but it's also nothing. This radiance that doesn't have a source, it's just radiance. This radiance doesn't have any history. The radiance that's not really, it's not spirituality. So in this appearance of this apparent happening, what's being expressed here is that this is the bankruptcy. This is the collapse. This is the poverty. You're canceled. You're always canceled. When I was a spiritual teacher, when I got canceled, it was actually liberation because there's no more identity. There's no more trying to be whatever it is. So there's this freedom, this unconditional freedom when there's cancellation. When the self-improvement is canceled, when it's been postponed or when it's been dropped off, there's liberation unconditionally. When there's this cancellation, bankruptcy, annihilation, Armageddon, apocalypse, it's what is. Any idea that comes, what's being expressed here is the poverty, right? No ideas, no thoughts, nothing. Any idea that comes, it seems to obscure what is, but it's also what is. It's also what's appearing. There's nothing lacking here. Everything's already complete. And what's being suggested that there's nothing outside of this, and this is already canceled. This is already complete. And there's nothing missing. There's nothing happening. Even if you think that there's something happening, there's no one talking here. There's no one listening here. There's no people in this room. This is a dream. This is an illusion. All of it. All of it. The solidity, the appearance, the hearing, the sensations, it's all illusion. But there's this persistent illusion that this is real, that this is happening, that I am here, that you are there, that I need to attain something. It's an illusion. So anything that you think that you would attain would be another illusion. So in the ordinariness and the directness of this appearance, there's just this radiant illusion. So when there's an acceptance that everything is an illusion, then there's lucidity. There's just this. There's no more seriousness. There's no more finding because nothing was lost. Even if something was found in the illusion, it will still be an illusion. Even if something was attained in an illusion, it's an illusion. So glimpses are illusion. Chasing the glimpse. Chasing the glimpse. And there seems to be a lot of these characters that come to this meeting to chase the glimpse. But here's a glimpse for you. It's the same. But there's this seemingly specialness in this apparent moment that there's no one, but there's always no one. Again, this is the cancellation of everything that is expected. When everything is canceled, everything is just flowing as it is. Everything is just as it is. If you have any questions, or if you have any questions in the Zoom, please let me know. I'll arrange the camera better later, sorry. Oh no, okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay now? Yeah? Okay. Question here. How do you know that there's no one here? No one knows. Because there's no one that's here to know. So every knowing that appears, because there's no one here to know, is really unknowing. It's not really happening. So anything that's held, anything that is perceived, seemingly, there's an origin to it. But since there is no time, so what's being expressed here that this is the absence of time. This is timelessness. So knowing is a process of a beginning and an ending. Since there's no beginning or ending, everything that's appearing is just this infiniteness. No one behind it. Nothing behind it. Everything is just appearing as it is. Why did I lose interest in competition after hearing this message? It's just what's happening. When it's seen that there's nothing happening, that there's no others to compete with, that it's just emptiness. It's just a play. So the neurosis or the tendency to take everything really, really seriously seems to drop. Or anything can appear too if there seems to be whatever seems to appear appears. But in competition, my brother and I used to compete. It's kind of funny. You know, there's this competition with sibling rivalry or whatever. I hope he doesn't watch this. But the competition ended when there is no one to compete with anymore. When there's no engagement in competition. When there's no engagement at all, because it's just, there's no one. Everything is there. There's just this emptiness here. There's just this blankness in everything. And you did not really hear the message. This message is not heard. The message is everything. It's the glass. It's the camera. It's the apparent people. It's everything. It's appearing as everything. Hey, David.
Hey, how's it going?
I can't hear you though, David. Hello.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh, excellent. So Emerson quite likes telling stories
Yes.
and little anecdotes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you talked about your brother there. So you made it sound like there was a real brother.
In the
With a real-
dream, yeah. In the dream, because
and
this is,
something real happened.
yeah.
So my question is, in this uncompromising message, why do you engage so frequently with all the made up stuff, all the stories that have never happened? In one breath, you give us the stories,
Yes.
but then in the other breath, you kind of willingly contradict it. So I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that to me seems like we're going round in circles, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for
You know
sure,
what I
for
mean?
sure. For sure. This
So what is
communication,
that?
yeah, this communication basically is this randomness. It's this wildness. There's no one doing this, right? So everything that
Yeah.
appears, everything that's talked about, even stories, is an
Yeah.
illusion. So what's being
Yeah.
expressed here, that everything that is being talked about here is an illusion. And it's actually quite nice to hear stories because the illusion feels real. So I can talk about my brother as if it's happening, but it's all an illusion.
There's no Emerson doing it, so you're not.
No.
Actually, you know, I asked you as if you're a real person,
Yeah.
and this is just happening on its own. So nobody's actually doing it.
This is
So
automatic,
there's
right?
nothing.
So
There's nothing to stop me
yeah,
or to start me from asking that question, as silly as it sounds.
of
And
course.
there's nothing
Yeah.
to stop or start Emerson from telling anecdotes and stories. But it's
Yeah.
it's quite a funny thing, isn't it? That,
Yeah.
you know, we call it an uncompromising message, and we do talk.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do spend 99% of the time
Yeah.
talking about, you know, stuff that isn't, you know, it feels very
Well,
contradictory.
uncompromising message is just another story, isn't it? Right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I guess you could also say that if this is free or whatever, that it's free to be to contradict itself, and that's
Oh
what's
yeah,
happening.
yeah, totally. Yeah.
In that as a, it's just more. It's just like, I don't.
It's almost like a cheeky, like the movie's playing. I don't know if you watch like Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something, and all of a sudden the character breaks into the fourth wall and said that there's no one here, and he goes back into the movie, acting and pretending that everything's happening ordinarily, and it breaks out into the fourth wall again, and will say that, well, this is just a movie and there's nothing happening here, and he goes back into character again. What's that? Yeah. So this is the fourth wall saying that there's no David there. David is pretending. There's nothing pretending to be David and asking these questions that he thinks is silly, but there's no silly question because it's just a movie.
Yeah.
It's pretend. But no one's pretending. And he goes back into character again and will say that there's nothing happening here, David. It's just really ordinary, right? It doesn't have to pretend to be this radical non-duality speaker that is
definitely.
it doesn't have to be a guru, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to pretend that it's holy or something. It's just the ordinariness of this. This is unconditional freedom speaking.
Yeah. And if we spent 99% of the time here talking in absolute terms, it wouldn't get anyone anywhere anyway, because there's nowhere to get to and there's nobody to get anywhere.
There's no one to get it, right? So when it's seen, when the character gets kind of like, temporarily thrown off in the movie, when there's a fourth wall saying there's nothing here, there's no one here, and then it goes kind of like, okay, it's not really happening. Sometimes we get really engaged in the storyline, we get really engaged in the questioning, and thinking that we are questioning and that there's a we and there's an Emerson and there's a David. It's this total engagement in this narrative storyline that's not even happening. So once in a while, a fourth wall voice comes in. It just states the obvious, that this is playing by itself. And this is happening, and it's not really happening. There's just this immediacy, this directness of this apparent unknowable mystery. It's appearing as known individuals, as a known concept, as a knowing. So what seems to be coming from there is a knowing of what should be. And it's a story. Because if I just kind of like went into this character, you know what I'm saying, a facade that all like talk is just all the absolute, then it's just fakery again.
Yeah.
It's just expressing what is. It's not a specialized, like if there's a belief that this is something that is attained or something, then it changes everything. The character is still a character. Chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water.
So is Emerson...
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you now.
So is Emerson projecting there's a David?
No. No one. There's no Emerson here. This is, again, this is almost like a scripted thing, right? This is already written, right? It's just appearing. There's no one here. This is just automatically. There's no one here that thinks. There's no one there that thinks. But in the script of this apparent play, there's a question that appeared. Does Emerson think that there's a David? And the response is, there's no one here.
There's no projection from Emerson that David.
Who's he going to project to?
A moment ago, there was a claim from Emerson that that what David was saying was originating from a sort of belief in knowing.
Yes.
And yet all of that, and yet all of that is unknowing.
All of that is unknowing, yeah. It seems that this is really, really tricky, right? Because there seems to be a thought or a feeling or kind of like a previous thing, but there's no before and after. So this is actually automatically happening. So even the idea that, that Emerson thinks or whatever is happening at this apparent moment, and this is happening all at once, and it's not happening at all. And it hurts the apparent, thinker that it's not there. There's no thinking happening. Yeah.
It's a head F-bomb.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Emerson. Thank you.
Thank you. So Emerson literally doesn't exist. I couldn't meet you in Toronto. No. There's no meeting happening now. There's a story that there's a meeting happening now, but it's a story. There's this appearance that this is all happening, but like in a dream, nothing's happening. There's no Toronto even. There's not even a location. Beautiful place, Carla, but it's also not here. There's just this, in this apparent dream sequence, there's this, ta-da, nothing's happening. The fourth wall is always talking now in the movie. It's saying that there's no one here, there's nothing happening, and this is an illusion. If we're talking about non-duality, there's no separation. So when it's expressed that this is an illusion, everything is an illusion. Hi, Marcy. Hello.
Hi, Emerson. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi, how is the apparent you? Okay, everything is illusion. Then does that mean that even the what is, even that as it is also illusion?
Yeah,
Which means nothing is ever happening.
that's right. Yeah.
Shit. I don't know. I have nothing to say. Who did I send my money to?
You didn't send money at all.
Oh yeah, that was counterfeit, right?
No. See, in this apparent happening, you know what I'm saying? That the illusion is that it feels absolutely real. So I sent money to Emerson, and Emerson is now speaking, and then all of this seeming happening is kind of like that there was a series of events that led up to this. So this is the fourth wall speaking. None of that happened.
Yeah,
None of
I
this
get-
is
I
happening.
get- I'm
So there's
getting
no
it.
time. So happening exists in time.
Mhm.
So what's being expressed here suggested that there's no time. This is timelessness. So there's this appearance of this, history of a past. Like I saw you on the website, and then I went to your website, and all of that kind of stuff, and then now I'm here. It's a very persistent illusion because there seems to be a trail of a crumb. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I can go to my browse history, but everything that seems to appear from the past is only appearing.
Yeah. So any appearance is
Everything, yeah.
nothing.
So when they say that don't
Empty-
throw the
empty.
baby with the bathwater, the baby in the bathwater is thrown. Everything. Everything.
Oh wow.
Everything. So this is this real and unreal happening, non-happening. This is the unknowing and the knowing happening at the same time. And we don't really have any words for it because all of these labels.
No, everything is a concept.
Everything is
that
a concept.
A word, a label, a concept that is just taking you farther away from
Yeah.
nothing.
So there's no conclusion to this because to conclude it would be timed.
Mhm, mhm.
So this is forever. This is eternity. This is the infiniteness.
But even that's an illusion.
That's also an illusion. Yeah. Because what you
Oh.
think of what infinity is corrupts what infinity is into something that is understanding. There's no understanding this.
No, I notice every time I think I have a handle on it, there's another conundrum that kind of twists
Yeah.
and becomes like, whoa.
See, when we talked the last time when we did that one-on-one, there was clarity there, and then all of a sudden you wrote me this email, kind of like saying that, well, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Because what seems to appear is there's no landing. You're looking for a landing. You're looking for a finish line. You're looking for, but the you that's looking for the finish line is not there. So everything that it thinks that it needs to get to is not there.
It's not there either.
No.
So there's nothing to get. So what did Tony get when he walked across the carpet? Not and walked across the
Yeah.
park was kind of a glimpse there. So the carpet. There was
It's
a complete
I
falling
can't really
away.
talk for Tony, but what seems to have happened is nothing happened. There's a scene that nothing happened.
So there's the conundrum again. Nothing happens, and yet
Mm.
something happens. Nothing really happens.
Nothing is happening right now. Let's do a little story thing. Nothing is animating everything. But the moment that you understand that, it lands
It drops
again.
away again.
Yeah,
I'm looking for a concrete, and it's not concrete. It's nothing. It evaporates into thin air. It's just like a
Yeah. This is not about figuring it out, right?
No, I
The
know.
moment
And
if you figure it out,
that's what trying to use a non-mind to figure it out, and it won't be
yeah.
done. Yeah.
It's not, because there's nothing to figure out.
And there's nowhere to land.
And there's nowhere to land, and this is just completely hopeless. If you go to my website, there's a wall there that just keeps on moving back and forth.
No, I know.
When there was the seeking happening here, it saw that it was just this wall. Learning is a wall. Understanding is a wall.
Yes.
Knowing is a wall.
Another concept.
Another concept, yeah.
Another label.
Another label, yeah.
Yeah.
When it's seen at the wall, it's just a website that doesn't even exist. It's everything doesn't exist. Everything that's heard, felt, sensed, tasted doesn't exist.
So when they talk about the immediacy of, or you talk about the immediacy, and I see, drinking tea, smelling the roses, doing whatever, drinking the water, just whatever is that immediacy that's happening.
In the immediacy, there's no labels, right? But somehow I have to talk about this. In the immediacy of this, there's nothing.
But that's still an illusion. Even the
That's
immediacy
still an
is
illusion. Yeah. So everything that you see for example, there's no time. So how can this appear if there's no time? How can movement happen when there's no time? How can this sound be traveling if there's no time? So this sound, this movement is a complete illusion.
I just saw some photos from that James Webb, that new, the Hubble, the updated Hubble. It's unbelievable. Galaxies and billions and billions and trillions of galaxies.
But what a beautiful story to maintain a story.
Incredible.
Yeah. What a bombastic, epic,
It's just another illusion.
It's just another illusion, yeah.
God.
There's no universe. You're nowhere here. There's nowhere.
And there's nothing to get.
And there's nothing to get because this is already nothing. Trying to get nothing at nothing, you'll get nothing.
Nothing from nothing needs nothing. Right? That song.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cosmic joke.
Thank you. David.
Oh, hiya. So there's no separation is a great phrase, isn't it? We often use that in these talks.
Yeah.
And to the thinking mind, that phrase, there's no separation, kind of implies or suggests that everything is joined up. But really, there isn't everything. There isn't an everything or separate things that can be joined up to make an everything.
No.
So it leaves you wondering, what on earth does even saying there's no separation have any value? I know nothing's got value.
That's what's being exposed to it. It doesn't have any value. This talk doesn't have any value at all.
It doesn't mean anything. To say there's no separation doesn't mean anything.
No.
But what it does is it implies to somebody who's invested in separation that the reality is, which you can't see, is that everything is actually joined up to make one seamless whole. But that's not the case, because a whole, there can't be a whole, there aren't separate objects, there can't be anything separate, and there can't be anything joined up. So all that leaves is that there is nothing.
Yeah.
That's the only conclusion there can be. But
It's not even conclusion. That's not even a conclusion, because when you said that there's only nothing, sorry, I can't hear there, David, your mic cut off there.
Yeah. I was going to say, you can't, exactly, I think what you were going to say there, you can't say there is nothing, because that's saying there is blank, and that blank is the word nothing. So nothing then becomes a something immediately, doesn't it?
That's what's being expressed here too, that everything that's being said here is an illusion. Everything that's being said here is a label. I'm trying to describe something that cannot be labeled, that cannot be named, that cannot be, it cannot be.
Yeah. and see this thing about using the word illusion as well. It's like, we sort of condense it down, don't we, in these talks, and say that, it's an illusion. But really, to the separate person, if everything is an illusion, then there's absolutely no harm and nothing wrong with believing that it's that this illusion is real. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't be right or wrong for thinking that.
Absolutely, because there's no one doing it anyway. So who's going to be wrong or right when there's no one?
So it can't be incorrect to believe that this is real, and to conclude that this is real. And you could say this isn't an illusion; it's real, and it doesn't actually matter.
It doesn't matter at all. Nothing matters. Yeah. It's kind of like when there's a dream, that at night, and none of that matters, because it doesn't. It never happened. It's a dream. So what's being expressed here is that this is just a dream, like a dream. So nothing matters in a dream. So would it really matter if you got enlightened in a dream?
Oh, you've frozen on my screen, Emerson.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's maybe me.
Can you guys hear me? Or is it? I'm not sure if it's.
Hello.
I think it's you. I think it's you there, David. Right?
You could be. Yeah, I'm out and about in the van at the moment, so it's not a solid internet connection.
Yeah. So I can't remember what I was talking about now.
Oh, hello.
Oh, I'm still here.
Oh, we're breaking up. What I'll do is I'll mute and pause the video. Hopefully that will help you out. Okay. Cheers.
Okay, cheers. Cheers. Thank you. So there's nothing to figure out. Who's going to figure out something? Would it really matter if something was figured out if everything is just an illusion? Would it really matter? Oh, sorry.
No, nothing matters, of course, Emerson. But it's so at this moment I'm sitting on a terrace.
Yeah.
And making a drawing. So, and there is also, I'm not sitting on a terrace, I'm making a drawing.
There's no one doing anything.
No one doing anything, but who is making the drawing? It's
no one.
By itself. No one.
No one. Nothing's happening. This is a dream. It's an illusion. Because the one that perceives it is also an illusion. So everything that it perceives is an illusion. Even if it feels absolutely real.
But yeah.
It would be a really poor illusion if it didn't feel real, doesn't it? It would be a bad job. It's like,
oh, it would be great if I can earn some money with making drawings.
Sorry, I didn't hear you there.
It would be great if I can earn some money with making drawings.
Oh, sure. Why not?
Yeah. I will send a picture.
Thank you. Thank you, Anita. You're cutting out a little bit.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Steve. How are you doing?
Hi, Emerson.
Hi.
I wanted to just say I really enjoyed the articulation of the issues by David. I always like the way he asks questions, and Marcy as well. And just to think a little bit more about non-duality and how things are or are not separated, it seems to me that in order to have any type of thing, there has to be a distinction.
Mm.
There have to be qualities.
Mm.
You can't talk about a thing without somehow separating it from other things.
Mm-hmm.
Each of those qualities is illusory.
Everything is, yeah.
But to talk about an illusion, you have to actually have in the back of your mind something that's real to compare it with.
There's nothing, saying everything is an illusion. So even that idea is an illusion because everything that's being pumped out right now is an illusion.
Right.
So there's no nothing behind the illusion because it's an illusion.
But there has to be a comparator to call it an illusion.
That's the illusion. That's how it's perceived there, right? That there's a comparator, that there's a difference. But there's nothing, right? This is just nothing. I might not be getting your question quite completely there. Sorry.
Well,
yeah.
There's always going to be, to derive any meaning,
Mm-hmm.
there always has to be a context.
Yes. So,
but that context
for something
itself is
yeah.
illusory.
Yes. So for something to appear, it's always nothing. It has to come. It seemingly comes from nothing, but it's always nothing. So the illusion seemingly can like absolutely real. For it to appear, there has to be an underlying nothing. So there's this emptiness appearing as illusion. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's also what's being longed for. What's being longed for is an illusion. What's appearing is an illusion. So there's emptiness, and you know what? This is just a story as well. There's emptiness or nothingness as illusion. So
Right.
everything that is felt is emptiness. So I can also just say that this is all emptiness.
Right.
And it's the same statement as this is all an illusion. You can say that illusion is synonymous with emptiness.
Right.
You can say that this is all unconditional love.
And all awakeness.
Exactly. Because there's no separation, right? You can say that this is just chocolate appearing.
I think Tony used to say marmalade.
Yes, monolith, yeah.
Marmalade.
But any ideas again obscures this radiant emptiness that appears in everything as everything.
Right.
Yeah. So any kind of trying to grasp it, right? It slips.
Yes.
It can't be grasped.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. How are you guys doing? Yeah. Yes, please. Thank you, Carla. Do you want coconut water? Yes, please. Yeah. The walls are beautiful. I didn't notice that. Wow. It's beautiful. Is it? Yes, please. Oh, and his chair is like sparkly. There's a question here. So everything is just entertainment, seemingly, but not for anyone. Thank you. Wow, thank you. Thank What a beautiful place this is, Carla. Isn't it beautiful, guys? Yeah.
Been here a long time. 30 years.
Wow.
So the after party's gonna be.
The slow mood only arise in the dream. In the apparent dream, anything can arise, right? When there's this, in this illusion, everything. But everything that's arising is also clarity. It's also radiance, appearing as slow mood. But since there's labels in what seems to appear, that this is slow mood, this is high mood, this is high vibration, this is whatever, then it misses what's appearing. What's appearing is already empty. So it's emptiness appearing as low mood. So seemingly there's this listening to this communication in hopes to lose some stuff, right? To lose anxiety, to lose whatever. But what's being expressed here is that since everything is an illusion, what's going to be lost is also just an illusion. So nothing is really lost. Everything is just appearing as it is. It's as it is. Oh, I love the walls, huh? There was this busyness preparing, and it did not see this. Thank you for the question, Kane. So in the dream, anything can arise. In the illusion, anything can arise. Everything that arises is unconditional love. David's back.
Hi, I'm
People
really going
appreciate
at
your
it today,
questions,
aren't I?
David.
So I really like the Kanisa triangle. It's spelled Kanisa, and it's like a sort of optical illusion that everybody's probably familiar with. And it's basically three little pie shapes which imply the shape of a triangle, but there's actually no triangle there. So it's like these little shapes on a page, and it implies a triangle. And I often think of that when I think about this illusory self, that the self is the triangle, which isn't actually on the page. And what creates that triangle is implication. It's each corner of the triangle is the implication, implies a self. And I think it's quite a good analogy to use. And you can imagine all of these little corners of the triangle, like you could imagine one of them being the belief system. You could imagine one of the other corners being the sense of locality. You could imagine, any ingredient that you want to think of that implies a person. And the reason I'm sharing that analogy is because if you think of it that way, then you think about something like, right, there is a real belief system, there is a real sense of location, there is a real this and a real that, which all join together to make this illusory self. But in actual fact, if you can take a step back from that and realize that all of these different ingredients are themselves not real, they're not real structure, but they are illusory as well.
Yes, totally, yeah. Everything when it's seen, when there's the collapse of the first and the final illusion, which is the you, everything that the belief, the structures, the perception, it's just seen as just this transparent nothing. Because the one that it's I always use this kind of like the house of cards of illusion, right? If one of them is taken out, then it collapses completely.
Yeah.
So for example, with the perception, so if every single perception, so all that is perceived, everything it's perceiving is an illusion, then it collapses time, the self, others. If the card of time is seen as that this is just timelessness, and you can go scientifically with that there's no time, although that can be argued as well. That's just another story. But when it's seen that there's just really no time, there's just this timelessness, then how can individuals appear if there's no time? If there's no beginning or end, how can this even be possible? How can sound travel? So when the card of the illusion of the me is snuffed out, and when it's seen as like a, then everything that it perceives, time, perception, kind of like what you're talking about earlier, is completely eradicated.
Mm.
And all of that card is just this glaring obviousness that all of this, when it's seen, you know, it's always this way. For example, when you're dreaming at night, it feels completely real, and then there's this spot, you know what I'm saying, that there's no thoughts whatsoever, and then the dream continues again by saying that I had a dream last night.
Yeah.
But the illusion is persistent, that it doesn't see the glaring omission, the glaring kind of like, you know, the thing that no one woke up, so no one fell asleep. This is still dreaming. And it's always deep sleep. So kind of like what Steve and I were talking earlier, there's this illusion, but this is just deep sleep or blackout. This is blackout.
And the illusion
Appearing
is that every
as-
morning.
What's that?
Yeah, sorry, and the illusion is that every morning the house of cards automatically rebuilds itself.
That's
and
right,
it
yeah.
collapses as you're falling off to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And that's the illusion, isn't it?
It actually collapses.
Believing that, yeah.
It collapses every time that there is an apparent, you know, cooking, or kind of like me, kind of like, you know, if there's this all of this mindless activities, you know, that's happening, and then there's this suggestion again that I am doing this, that I am late or whatever, right? And it's almost kind of like almost just this reminder that this is an illusion.
Yeah.
That this is the illusion, that this is real. So the reminder keeps on coming up. It's kind of like an alarm, kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? And there's this kind of like this, but there's always sleeping.
Yeah.
But what
exactly
seems
you
to
were yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, exactly what you were saying, that there are no glimpses.
Yeah.
Or you could say it's just one glimpse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
glimpse appears in time, and there's no time. So how can that even be possible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So chasing the glimpse is chasing
Yeah.
time that doesn't exist.
Yeah. There are no
This
glimpses.
is already eternal. This is already infinity, appearing as this segmented moments, appearing as blinking of the eye, but there's no eye that blinks actually. Blinking doesn't happen. So this is, you can say that this is wide awake and deep sleeping at the same time. It cannot be figured out. It cannot be figured out. And there's just
Yeah.
this wowness, kind of like, wow, this can never be figured out. Because the one that's trying to figure out is not really there. The one that's trying to figure it out is a complete illusion. So everything that it figures out will always be an illusion.
Yeah.
There's just this kind of like when you're hitting the wall, and there's just this surrender. There's nothing to figure out, because it's kind of like what I was when I opened earlier, that this is just poverty. This is just starvation. This is just bankruptcy. Anything that you do is not happening. Anything that you try to figure out is not real. But it feels absolutely real. So there's seeming kind of like a surrender, kind of like a white flag saying that, well, I guess there's really no one here. And then when there's this receding kind of like, you know, belief, there sometimes seems sometimes kind of like a shock or a surprise. It's like it's always been this way. There's always this. There's been never anyone here. So it's almost like an accident. It's like an accident that it's not cause and effect. I shared this story earlier. I was on an Uber ride with this gentleman, and we were having a lovely talk, and he asked me, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a speaker. What do you speak about? I never mentioned the word non-duality, And I basically said, I just speak about this life as it is, flowing as whatever. And I can't remember the talk. And then midway through to the Uber ride, he said, everything is really bright. I didn't do anything because there's no one here. But there was a seeing without any understanding of what it is. And I asked him, well, he messaged me, and I invited him to come to this meeting, to this Toronto meeting. He said, it's not necessary. He's just enjoying the view. And then the question that he asked, what do I do about Allah? He's Muslim. Whatever you want to do, because it's just an illusion. So yeah, this is not about knowing, right? This was almost kind of like just a surprise. Surprise! It's always a surprise. It's always nothing.
Thanks for that.
Oh, I can't hear you now, David. Oh,
Thank you.
thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks.
Surprise! Hey, Cheryl.
Hi.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I think yesterday or maybe today you said there's no cause and effect.
Yes.
So I experience cause and effect. It's like with
Yes.
my diet, I get reactions if I have too much sugar, and like why? Like, why
Because
do
in
I
the dream of separation, there's cause and effect. In the dream of reality, for it to be real, there has to be a subject object. There has to be separation. To be able to hold a glass of coconut water, it has to be real. So what's being suggested is that everything, every single perception, even the understanding of cause and effect, or even the evident, it's very evident seemingly that there is cause and effect, because if you eat a lot of sugar, you know what I'm saying, your body will suffer. But what seems to be appearing is this persistent illusion that is just very expansive. It's everything. It's everything. And the illusion is the persistence that this is reality. That separation is what is happening. For what is happening to happen, there's time, there's cause and effect, there's gravity, there's you and I, there's 7.5 billion people. But what's being expressed here is that this seeming reality, everything that is perceived in it, including cause and effect, even hunger that's happening, is this persistent play that this is real. It's the unreal playing real.
Okay.
But no one's doing it. Everything
Right.
is undone. It's just a happening.
Aside from it just being a happening, how could we, seemingly all of us, have agreed on the same rules? You know,
That's just a story. There's no all of us that agreed on this certain rules, right? That's just another narrative. It's layers and layers and pages of stories, but it's really nothing.
mhm. So is it of
It's so
no value?
it's so expansive that it seems like there are others that agrees with you, but there are no others that agrees with you, because there's no you.
So is it of no value?
No, nothing at all. But isn't it beautiful that it doesn't have any value?
I'm not so sure about that. I don't know if I find that too beautiful.
But when it's seen that everything is just flowing as it is, that it doesn't have a meaning or a purpose, it's just a view.
It's just a view.
Yeah. It's just a dream.
Mhm.
Does dreams have value?
I think they do.
Okay. When it's seen that there's no dreamer, it becomes of no value at all.
Mhm.
Because who's going to value it to?
Mhm.
Who is it going to matter it to? Yeah.
So then everything I do, I like some of my dreams, I'll analyze, oh, I dreamt this
I
because
used to
of
do that too.
whatever.
I had like 3 books of, right by my bedside that I would, but they all contradicted each other. It was kind of funny, right? It's kind of like, according to this book, if I lose my teeth, someone's going to die, during the, and then this other book, according to this book, it's liberation or something. So it's all bullshit. Sorry, I'm going a little bit hardcore here.
Well,
For this character anyway.
for me, it seems to make sense. Like,
Yeah. Because
that,
the illusion
I
wants
do
to make
find
sense
it.
of the illusion, and it's a running around illusion. It's a merry-go-round of illusion. It just keeps on going and going and going.
Hmm.
It's this loop of illusion, right? That it's illusion on top of illusion. If illusion, belief is an illusion. Because when there is sleeping at night, when there's deep sleep, what's belief?
Hmm.
When it's deep sleep, what's meaning?
Mhm.
What's understanding? What are labels? There's no labels, no time, nothing.
Mm.
And nothing cannot be understood because there's nothing in nothing. There's no one in nothing. Nothing happening in nothing. But somehow, in this nothing, not in this, I'm just using words, this appearance of this fullness is appearing as people in a living room, as people in a Zoom,
Mhm.
as blinking of the eye. But it's nothing. So if there's no time, this is always deep sleep.
Mhm.
I'm just presenting the frailty of the illusion
Mhm.
because, I can repeat over and over and over again that there's nothing here. But when I say that there's no time, you can't even imagine it because imagination, thinking appears in time. So if there's no time, every imagination, thinking, belief, understanding is an illusion.
Mhm.
Because there's no
Yeah.
prior
Mhm.
and no before or after. No
No,
movement.
I get that more than I get that there is nothing.
Yeah.
I can get that there is no time and there is no space.
Yeah. But somehow
But
you believe in your beliefs. Somehow
I
there's a
believe
history of beliefs. Yeah. You were just saying earlier that, but I believe that my dreams have meaning. How is that possible when you just admitted that there's no time?
Mm.
I believe in this portion of the meeting, which is the no time and no space, but I believe in dreams. How's that make sense?
Mm.
It doesn't, right?
Mhm.
It's this selective hearing sometimes in this meeting. Yes, you know what? There's no time. Even that, exposure that there's no time, everything collapses.
Mm.
Everything collapses because everything that is appearing in time. But there's no time. So how is this possible?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh Lord. Okay. I guess in a way, it feels like a relief.
That's what I
Because then,
said. That's what I said. I think yesterday I said that there was when I had time-based belief
Mhm.
and held on to beliefs. It was like carrying backpacks of rocks. And then when it's seen that all beliefs are time-based and there's no time, what's a backpack? What are rocks? What's heaviness? It's nothing. So all that was seen, that all the belief, you know what I'm saying? Since there's no time,
Mhm.
where are those beliefs?
Mhm.
They're nothing. They're empty.
Mhm.
Even beliefs about dreams.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You walked into that, didn't you?
Kind of did.
Yeah. The appearance of conditioning. Yeah, there's this appearance of conditioning since there's no time. It's a story. When someone said this is conditioning, it's a story. There's really no basis on it, right? There's no conditioning here. This just appears as it is. There's no history here. It just appears as this speaking. And there's just this automaticness that's happening, this movement, this sound in stillness, in silence, in no time or timelessness. So everything that appears, even the idea of the appearance is conditioning, is also not true. Nothing is true, and everything is true at the same time. That's why it cannot be pinpointed, right? And that's also what's really brilliant about it, is that it cannot be grasped because it is already everything. Do you still have friends that are spiritual? I don't have any friends. In the story, no, actually. This is quite harsh, for in the story, this is quite harsh for spiritual people. It is quite harsh. It's quite devastating because the investment in a lot of stuff. Although there's nothing wrong or right about, these investments, they're nice trinkets, right? They're nice. It's okay. But it's all seen as an illusion as well, right? So, especially when there is a huge investment in spirituality, for example, meditation teachers, and it's okay, you know what I'm saying? But this is actually kind of like the bankruptcy of apparent spirituality. And there's nothing wrong or right about spirituality. It's just what is. It's the end of that attaining something. It's kind of funny because when this goes into a story again, this character was in the corporate world. It got to be successful and it gave everything away in spirituality. Damn it. And then in spirituality, when it was seen that it was working towards the spirit, it was just investing in my karma, in my, and I thought it was frankly kind of like quite rich, you know what I'm saying, spiritually. But when it was exposed that all of that was just a Ponzi scheme, that it was just this blank, empty, there was a holding back into that wealth of spirituality, including friends, and trying to convince them that this is, but it seems like that this character was lying a lot. You know what I'm saying? And because it was seeing through the holes of what was speaking. So what seems to be happening at this apparent character is that there's just this radical honesty. There's just this. It became completely honest now. It's just this, that there's no one here. And it's not trying to convince anyone because there's no one to convince. It's not even talking to anyone. It's just like in a movie, there's just this fourth wall that keeps on mentioning that there's no one here. And there's just this excitement about it for some odd reason. There's seemingly a reconnection with more of like childhood high school friends. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. There's just this, because there's just this, and they would tell me that, oh, we thought we lost you, Emerson, when you became spiritual, when you became, ultra spiritual. And there's nothing wrong or right about that, right? There's nothing wrong or right about that. So the character is just more childlike. It's more childlike. It does what it does for no apparent reason at all. Oh, thank you, Anita. And again, this is not to say that something's better and something's lesser. There's nothing better and there's nothing lesser. It's just all equally nothing. There's really not even non-duality. Someone said, is non-duality better than spirituality? No, because there's no such thing as non-duality.
Oh, hello, Emerson. Sorry, I forgot
Oh,
to put my
hi.
hand up there.
Hi, David.
Okay, hi. So there's no right and wrong,
No.
but I'd like to put forward the case that
Sure, go ahead.
that there is a true and untrue. And I know I'm wrong in saying that. And there's no right or wrong. So there is no separation. Now, if I say to you there is separation, you would probably interject and explain to me why there isn't. So arguably, you'd be saying that what I said was not true. So true and untrue.
It's not really
in
true or
appearance.
untrue. In the
Yeah.
dream, you know what I'm saying? There is this appearance or non-appearance. There's this separation,
Yeah.
non-separation. It's just labels. We're circling around labels of something that cannot be stamped.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
putting up a fight and
fair enough.
trying to label something, and trying to figure it out. But the one that's trying to figure out is the one already that it's long
Is
for.
the what? Sorry.
The one that's trying to figure out is also what is long for, meaning that it's hilarious sometimes, seeing this when they're trying to figure out something. I'm like, well, you know what? It's appearing as everything, including you. But there's no separate you. So this is just wholeness. So there's just this play of like, again, this whole reel of movie, this one screen of movie that's appearing as apparent individuals. And then there's this interaction, and it's just a really kind of like brilliant play of separation. And then once in a while, I'll stick out my head and say, well, this is just a movie. The actors that are playing it believe that they are real. But that's an act.
I think I know it's not real, but I'm playing along that it is. That's how it
Well, there's no
feels.
you playing along.
Yeah, I've got
See,
to use
do you
words to
see what
communicate.
happened there? There's this identification that I am playing
Yeah,
along,
yeah,
right?
but no, there is. I don't think there is. I think I'm just using words to communicate.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're not doing anything at all, even. You know what I'm saying? There's no you doing this at
Yeah.
all. So this
It
is this
feels
is
like,
like a rerun.
yes. It feels like it's pretending.
Yeah, yeah,
Feels like it's just going along with it and pretending,
yeah,
and it feels like it's okay with doing that.
yeah. Well, David, the gig is up. The jig is up. This is like an interrogation, right? And I'll keep on telling you that there's no one here. I should have a flashlight. There's no one there. But the criminal keeps on saying, well, you know what, Emerson, I do feel that, whatever seems to appear, it's just what's happening. Basically, what seems to appear is just this relaxed, there's just no more seriousness, right? Trying to figure out, trying to know, trying to get somewhere. It's just relaxed.
It's just what's happening.
Yeah, even that, we know when it becomes kind of like a mantra.
Yeah.
Becomes.
No, it's just what's happening and no one's doing it.
Yeah, and it's almost instant. It's almost kind of like, with this radical non-duality, it's quick to come up with this, with these statements. But it's kind of funny because it's not an understanding. So people begin to understand that there's no one here. Then they try to imagine it, but it can't. It's not possible.
It can be a
because
sense.
every time that it's imagined, then it becomes an understanding. There's always no one here when there's cooking happening, talking happening. When you meet kind of like a friend that you know what I'm saying, that you haven't met in a story, and then you're having this awesome conversation. There's no separation. Or when I'm DJing and all of a sudden, after like maybe the third or fourth song, the room erupts into this dance, and there's no one DJing and there's no one dancing. It's just this expression. And there's just and then someone will say to me, "That's lit, man. That's lit." In a DJ set, right? And there's no one anymore. And then, when there was a character here, somebody with a phone, maybe a drunken, someone, shows me play Britney Spears. And it ruins, or In the Club by 50 Cent. And I'm playing this really awesome set. And usually I'm like, you just ruined the flow. But seemingly, since there's no one here, even Britney Spears and 50 Cent In the Club mixed in the mix is also it. So there's always this flow that never stops. There's always this eruption of wholeness that's appearing. It never ceases. It's always this. It's almost like wholeness, if this is just a story, it's always speaking. It's this. It's whole. Yeah. It's this. Even the separation is also saying it's whole. Even if it's saying that, like this feels separate, that's wholeness saying that this is separate. So everything is this open invitation to wholeness. Wholeness doesn't see separation. It only sees wholeness. So it sees everything as whole.
I can't buy into the concept of that being an open invitation. I can't buy into what you said there about an open invitation.
Yeah.
I have
it's just
to
another
just
concept. It's just another concept.
I have to let that gloss over my head.
Yeah, for sure. Again, there's this selection again, right? Of what you prefer and everything. Every preference or non-preference is an illusion.
Yes, nobody's doing any of it.
Nobody's doing any of it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Emerson, the more clear you are, the harsher you are. There's no This communication is harsh because it slices, belief systems, right? It's just cuts through, right through it, and it's just what is. Hey, Mr. DJ, if you have Spotify, could you make a playlist? Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. Thank you, Julia. Hello, Emerson. I seems like I blacked out for the last 30 minutes. What's happening? Nothing. Nothing. And before you make the blackout into a story, then it doesn't become a blackout anymore. It becomes this attainment or something that I achieved, that I blacked out. This is always blackout. And there are glimpses of illusions of this apparent appearance. No, I can't black you out again because there's no one here to black you out again. Oh no. So what seems to appear is this timelessness, this blackout, this nothingness, this deep sleep appearing as this vibrancy, this aliveness, this awakeness, this different colors, this different seeming individuals. And this aliveness and this whole painting, the painting is alive with individuality, but the painting that seems to appear is not real. It's just a painting, a moving painting with nothing in it. Well, thank you so much, everyone. That's the first session today. Thank you.
Thank you,
We'll
Emerson.
come back.
Love you, love you,
Thank you in
love
about an
love you.
hour.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see you
you,
again.
Emerson.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Emerson.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Really quiet audience here. How are you guys doing? Good, good. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right. See you guys. I'll open up the breakout room. Sorry, if you guys